And I've trapped each of them in their very own glass cube.
The challenge has
The child who will one day become Mr. Beast is trapped in a bed, wondering if he might die. On TV, he watches the scoreboard of a sport he dreamed to play professionally, and now never will. Ahead of him lie 4 years and 7 months of making failed videos. And then, completely unexplained, he will explode past every YouTuber ever. How did this happen? There is a secret side to MrBeast's success, one hidden in a web of seemingly unrelated events. YouTube start as a dating app, how this woman helped create YouTube's secret AI, and why MrBeast will grow up to become obsessed with coffins and jails. Together, they reveal how YouTube implanted a lie in MrBeast, one that turned a sick boy into a billionaire. It's a lie that stifles millions of people's creativity, but remains hidden because it makes YouTube billions. Let me take you beyond the people who love or hate MrBeast to tell you the story of the dark and dangerous game that created him, a story that YouTube wants to hide. But it's a story you can only see if you wind the clock back to a middle-of-nowhere American town, to a boy who cared about one thing. Something that was all about numbers, big audiences, and was chock full of white American boys just like him. That obsession?
baseball.
Complete game shutout for Nick Turgeon. The third of first. Double play.
I didn't want to do anything else.
When he first swung that bat at 10 years old, it was nonstop.
Baseball wasn't about emotions. It had one goal: study the stats, learn the rules, and do whatever it takes to win the game. And Jimmy was made for this.
He absolutely loved baseball.
But then, before it had barely begun, his baseball dreams were crushed. A permanent illness invaded his body: Crohn's disease.
Playing baseball was pure torture. I was always thrown up behind the dugout, and I just hated my life back then. I probably would have tried to play baseball in college, but because of Crohn's, it definitely changed the trajectory.
In baseball's place, something new rose up.
When I was 11, I was playing a game, Battle Pirates. It was,
Battle Pirates.
Yeah, it's a really small game. A guy just started destroying me, and I got pissed. So I made a video, and I uploaded it to YouTube. And then it somehow got 20,000 views.
First video ever gets 20,000 views.
That's crazy.
And that was probably the best thing that could have ever happened to me, because then I was hooked from day one.
MrBeast turned his entire obsessive mind from baseball to recreating that initial success on YouTube.
If you know anything about me, you know I love YouTube and I love YouTube statistics.
I was hybrid obsessed over it. Night before bed, I'd just be like, I feel like I'm not getting anywhere, but if I just do it long enough, eventually it'll click, eventually I'll figure it out.
He posted video after video, and then nothing.
It never went viral. It was always just like he had a smaller community.
A devastating illness had locked Jimmy from the world of baseball, and now it seemed like his YouTube dreams were destined to fail too.
No odds in my favor, with no equipment, no nothing, no social skills, no editing, no camera, no one to teach me, no one to help me.
You see what happens to the runt of the litter? He dies.
But then Jimmy asked a question that would change his life and YouTube forever.
We got to think differently.
Could you, with enough study, approach YouTube like baseball?
Jimmy drove in more than 100 runs, still an MLB record.
How would you not just play the game, but utterly dominate it?
That's when I kind of just realized that, like, if I really go all in, I really be creative and unique, people have no choice but to watch it. No choice but to watch it.
Videos carefully calculated to win the game.
It's no wonder they called him the Beast.
And so he began with the dedication of an elite athlete, using whatever he had around him.
I'm kind of poor, so I had the tape of baseball, one of my home run things from my baseballs here, and then I set my camera on top.
He tried feats of endurance with household objects.
I'm about to count to 100,000. 97,000 and 99.
Reading the entire dictionary.
New man, new mass, new moon.
Cutting a table in half with a plastic knife. He tried blowing stuff up.
Oh, dude.
And then he struck gold, or rather, gave it away.
You need some help? $10,000. Oh, that you needed some help.
Jimmy had found his first repeatable way to dominate the YouTube game, and he approached it like no creator had before.
I was offered $5 grand for a video. I was like, double it, and I'll walk outside and I'll give it to a homeless person. And I like pacing around my neighborhood for 3 hours convincing this guy, double the money, I promise the video will go viral.
It was wildly generous, and it was also a swing carefully aimed at winning the game.
$8,000, $9,000, why all $10,000? I was like, Mom, it'll look better in the title.
Jimmy went on to give away millions of dollars and rack in tens of millions of views. And as his income grew, so did his level of attention-arresting spectacle.
And took his game to another level.
But outrageous spectacle was just the start. You see, years earlier, a professional baseball team had tried doing exactly what statistics told them to do.
If you're batting 158, 75 points.
Well, his on-base percentage is all we're looking at.
The result?
What is happening in Oakland? It defies everything we know about baseball.
It was the statification of baseball. As soon as a failing team became a powerhouse just using statistics, everyone wanted to do it too. Almost overnight, one team and their numbers transformed the game. And now, years later, a kid raised on that very game was going to try to do it again, but this time with YouTube.
I somehow found these other like 4 lunatics, and we basically did nothing but just like hyper study like what makes a good video.
Basic breakdown of all the location of the pitches.
What's good pacing, like how to go viral.
Obsessed with the game.
Hyper obsessed.
I'm the first one of the ballpark.
Get on Skype at 7 a.m. and I'd be in the call until like 10 p.m. We'd do things like
study pictures.
Take 1,000 thumbnails and see if like there's a correlation to the brightness of the thumbnail to how many views it got. Or
marrying the data to the video.
Jimmy rocketed towards then past creators who had built their fame on personality, love of an art, or dedication to a topic. After a disease had locked him out of baseball, Jimmy had found a new world that welcomed the exact same number-chasing mindset.
But sometimes I get carried away. I count slowly, slowly getting faster. Once I start counting, it's very hard to stop. Hey, faster, it is so exciting. I could count forever, count until I drop. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. I love counting, whatever the amount.
But what made YouTube creators so obsessed with numbers? Well, you see any numbers displayed on Vimeo, Netflix, CuriosityStream, and Disney+. But look at YouTube, the stats are everywhere. If existing YouTubers were so into growing their channels, then how did MrBeast, a socially awkward teenager, outgrow them all? I mean, forget YouTubers. He gets twice the views of billion-dollar sports leagues like the NFL. The answer gets us one step closer to the dark side of YouTube. You see, the more Jimmy studied the game of YouTube, the more everything he learned boiled down to one idea.
It's about getting things down to one number.
It was an idea that had transformed YouTube years before, and in the hands of MrBeast, would transform YouTube yet again, this time from the inside out. But it's an idea you can only see if you ask the question, if MrBeast is YouTube's best player, then what are the rules of the game? To answer that, we need to leave Jimmy for a moment and dig into the strange origin story of YouTube itself, beginning as a dating site. It's 2005. A group of ex-PayPal employees are starting companies that will go on to dominate the tech world and the world as a whole. These 3 ex-PayPal employees are about to do what Silicon Valley does best: innovating. By which I mean throwing a new technology at an existing first world problem with little to no social awareness. The new technology? Online video. The existing idea to copy? Popular dating website Hot or Not, where you rated images of people. They wanted to help people find love with online video. And the YouTube founders even had a slogan: tune in, hook up. And they had a brilliant launch plan. But then the unexpected happened. It became clear they weren't going to make money by people paying a subscription to find someone to love. They were going to make money by finding videos that people love to watch. But it wasn't just users that loved YouTube.
Google is grabbing headlines once again today with its $1.65 billion US buy-up of YouTube.
But why would a search engine company drop $1.6 billion on a video platform full of stuff like this?
Google's interest in YouTube is not so much rebranding it, but having their ads run throughout the YouTube site.
Google wasn't buying the videos, they were buying the viewer attention that they could sell ads to. And if you need more proof, who did they choose as one of YouTube's first CEOs?
YouTube's CEO, Susan Wojcicki.
Not a creative, but their own advertising and analytics guru.
I'm responsible for our advertising products.
In a bizarre twist, the failed dating site went on to become one of the greatest matchmaking sites known to humanity. Not matchmaking between lovers, matchmaking between viewers and advertisers forcing them to watch their ads. You didn't need to fill out a dating profile. Instead, Google stalked your online life like a psycho ex-lover, then used that data to sell your attention to the most compatible advertiser. But then, there arose an enemy so sophisticated, it threatened to destroy everything YouTube had built.
What was your name?
ReplyGirls. ReplyGirls.
ReplyGirls.
Because they're flipping everywhere.
So hi guys, I just saw Lucifo's video and they were talking about Gil Ward.
There is nothing wrong or even unusual about what ReplyGirls are about to do. But from YouTube's perspective, as a billion-dollar company, ReplyGirls are about to expose a fatal flaw in their poorly made algorithm. Let's look at YouTube in the early 2000s. If you got people to click on your video, you got paid and got recommended more.
What are the videos we're going to recommend? Well, how about the most popular ones?
Clicks on your video told YouTube your video was popular. And what platform wouldn't want to promote popular videos? I mean, what could go wrong? Enter ReplyGirls and their diabolical plan.
Well, it's very simple.
Step 1.
You go on YouTube and you
Find a video trending.
Step 2.
Make a response wearing revealing clothing so there would be a high click-through rate.
Step 3.
Put "re" in front of the title, copy the tags and description, and boom, you are good to go.
It seems to work since I'm getting a lot of attention.
You can't help but look at the thumbnail.
There's nothing nefarious about what ReplyGirls were doing. In fact, many other creators were trying the same sorts of clickbait. But from YouTube's perspective, they could now see an algorithmic weakness that could threaten to destroy the whole platform. ReplyGirls would flood a viewer's suggested video feed, frustrating them into leaving YouTube.
I am fed up of being shocked by a massive pair of...
Meaning YouTube was paying ReplyGirls to get rid of viewers.
99% of Google's revenue comes from their advertising.
And then, in their darkest hour,
we tried to figure out how to fix that. We thought, well, instead of just ranking the videos by how often they were clicked, we ranked them for how much they were watched.
And it worked. Clickbait videos that didn't hold your attention stopped getting recommended.
Get her.
Creators who held your attention for a long time got promoted. Now, despite this big algorithmic shift, most creators made videos more or less the way they always had, until MrBeast arrived on scene.
All right, everybody, wake up, wake up, wake up. Armageddon has happened.
And this is how it went down. On April 24th, 2014, an obscure mathematics YouTube channel releases this clip of a YouTube executive.
We ought to put a higher weight on watch time.
It's one of the first leaks of how the algorithm now gives so much importance to watch time. And unsurprisingly, no one notices. Until years later, MrBeast, in his study of YouTube, digs up that clip. And he follows this vague notion of retention to a chart which had remained unknown deep within the analytics of YouTube since 2011. It was a chart that let you look at videos through the eyes of the new YouTube algorithm.
In your analytics, audience retention, you can see where people click off.
This chart told you at every moment of your video, were people still watching?
What brings us happiness is winning.
Jimmy had began his quest, much like a baseball analyst, asking the question,
what kind of data is needed to decode the game?
And now he'd found the answer. Retain viewers longer than anyone else, and you go viral. Jimmy tossed aside the metrics all the other YouTubers cared about.
Subscribe.
Please subscribe. Subscribers don't really matter.
And gave retention his everything.
If there's ever a moment where I'm even slightly bored, I'm like, cut it.
Oh, there's a little retention dip.
But to minimize drop off,
That would help retention.
watch the end. Watch the end.
Watch the end. Every second.
Re-engage stuff. Retention.
Retention. Retention.
And on February 6th, 2020, a YouTube exec again releases a video on how the YouTube algorithm works. But this time, Jimmy isn't paying attention. He's in the video.
I mean, you just look at the retention graphs. People would click off at the beginning.
Not just explaining the algorithm to the YouTube exec responsible for explaining the algorithm to YouTubers. No, he was coaching him how to optimize for retention in the video they were filming while they were filming it.
I think you were gonna lead off the video, but I don't care. Watch to the end, I'm gonna teach you how to pull lots of views.
You're the professional here.
I mean, just look at his videos before he discovered retention.
Condom 5.
It's squished.
That way you have safe high fives.
Now look at them after.
Thank God! It's been like 12 hours and already this upset. Hey, we got a little bit of a plumbing issue.
Oh, this is Venmo is free to install and all.
Retention didn't just make Jimmy a better YouTuber. It turned him into a completely different beast.
Camera Cube has the most people inside of it after 100 hours. Begin! He's taking the money back!
You have to understand something. At this point, Jimmy is kind of a freak. YouTubers far more successful than him haven't even heard of retention.
And Jimmy was like, show me your analytics. And Logan goes, what do you mean? And he was like, wait, you don't look at your YouTube analytics? And he's like, bro, I haven't looked at my YouTube analytics ever.
Would creators that didn't even check their analytics unquestioningly embrace retention because some guy was getting views with it?
I just say whatever I want, you guys just don't question it?
Yes.
On one, on two, on three.
Just look at the retention graphs.
Go down to your graph right here. And retention.
Watching until the end.
Watch time. Retention.
Can you please the algorithm? Shake some ass for the algorithm.
When someone says, I don't want to optimize for retention, I say, well, you don't want to make a good video then.
As YouTubers rush to take their attention-holding game to the next level, MrBeast was uncovering the most powerful retention secret ever.
Has devised an absurdly simple approach to the complicated science of dominating.
It was a trick that would help make him the greatest YouTuber ever to play the game.
Nobody's ever been better.
Jimmy was powerful.
Superstar.
Vicious. The fiercest. Best player in the game.
I have 10 challenges.
You see, as Jimmy rose to dominate the game, he uncovered a key difference between pro sports and YouTube played as a sport. And it was a difference he could exploit.
Last one of you to leave this island keeps it.
Think about it. Professional athletes direct their desire to win towards each other, and they're restricted by the rules and the field of play. And audiences watch from behind a barrier. But in the game of YouTube, the game is played with the audience directly. There's no barrier, and this is typically really great. We love the connection and collaboration.
What brings us happiness is winning.
But what happens when the goal of the game becomes to
grip their entire attention throughout the whole video?
What happens when the audience becomes the target?
O'Reilly's after somebody in the crowd.
Over the scores table and is trying to get down to the bench.
Get people where they're immersed in the content and then just kind of hold them there.
If you need to put people's attention in a trap that they can't escape, what do you make your videos about?
There's no way out for the next 50 hours.
We're stuck.
I mean, if you want to imprison viewer attention and make them feel like it's a privilege, what do you do to your video participants?
So I'm gonna allow you to duct tape your hand to the car for the night.
Oh, right.
I love prison.
I literally cannot.
I feel like I'm in prison.
They trapping 100 people in complete darkness.
I am trapped inside of this steel cage.
He's deserted on this island. Try to escape this maze.
50 hours in this box.
What kind of prison is this? Why am I getting tied to a chair right now?
Sounds pretty scary, huh?
The very same message gets sent to the participant in the video and the viewer. Don't go anywhere, stay where you are, and a prize is coming.
You could have a payoff at the end. Survives the longest wins 456 grand.
Last to leave the coffin wins $10,000.
$10,000. $10,000.
This makes it hard to skip forward or leave the video.
Islands, boats, coffins full of snakes make spectacular traps you can't look away from.
I ain't leaving.
Challenges like hand on the Lamborghini mirrors eyes on the screen. These seamless ad integrations leave no space for viewers to click off.
You know what your credit score is? No idea. Okay, sorry, don't worry about it.
Boost is only... Videos, of course, must end suddenly with no emotional closure because that would give viewers a chance to click off and lower the retention curve.
Get that camera out of my face.
All in all, while MrBeast's style looks childish on the surface, behind the scenes, every piece is carefully tuned to keep you watching.
I am a channel that keeps people
locked by 15 different locks. I am trapped inside of
retention.
I love prison.
But all of this, it's just a symptom of a dark lie. A lie that's hiding in plain sight. A lie we can now uncover.
I don't give a f. Best video possible.
It's the early 2020s, and MrBeast has become unquestionably
the king of YouTube.
And creators aren't just copying his attention trap strategy, they're copying everything he does.
This is $500,000.
This is the worst, poorest content. This is one of the world's.
It's getting so bad that creators give it its own name.
The MrBeastification of YouTube.
MrBeastification.
MrBeast-ification.
But there's something lurking behind MrBeastification that the average viewer has no idea about, and that even creators are overlooking. As MrBeast rises to power, a whole new genre of video suddenly appears. Videos dedicated exclusively to analyzing MrBeast's strategy and tactics.
The 3 things I feel we can learn from Jimmy.
And do creators pay attention? Well, a kid from rural Ireland makes a PowerPoint presentation about MrBeast in his bedroom, and it gets 6 million views. Someone else makes a 2-hour-long unedited interview with MrBeast, 17 million views. But as more and more people interview MrBeast, something strange starts to come to light. On one hand, MrBeast always repeats his same goal.
Best video possible.
What makes the best video possible?
The best videos possible. Best video possible.
Best video possible. Best video possible.
Why?
I'm hyper obsessed with just making sure people actually like what they're watching.
And based on the numbers, boy does he seem to. But in those very same interviews, he also starts to speak as if he only cares about the algorithm.
Told him if he doesn't get 70% retention on a video, then he didn't do something right.
What do you think YouTube wants?
That would help retention.
I love the algorithm.
And as the early 2020s play out, he starts to get more worryingly intense about it. Asked how to get people to click on a video, he responds like this.
You need something that legit will have people be like, what the did he say in that video? What the I need to know.
And then, in January of 2023, he reveals that he's thought so long and so hard about what the YouTube algorithm wants, he can't stop.
My retention brain is just something I can't turn off.
MrBeast reveals that for the entire 2-hour conversation he's currently having, all he's really thought about is how the algorithm will judge every next thing they say.
What value are they going to get? How many of them are going to be interested? What percentage of people do I think will lose? And I'm like running all those calculations in the background.
Is MrBeast trying to make the best videos possible for his audience or for the algorithm? The answer is yes. In one of his least viewed interviews ever, MrBeast reveals that he thinks they're the same.
Anytime you say the word algorithm, just replace it with audience, and it works perfectly.
Okay, let's try it.
Focusing in on the new tactics that
the audience
wants you to focus on.
It also gives you another ad impression. Like, that is the metric
the audience
cares about.
I do think there's a danger of deciding to make content for the
audience,
not for your audience.
He's cracked the
audience. That's literally all the algorithm does, is reflect what the people want. To a T.
But think about it. What does the algorithm want?
As the algorithm, I would always assume to be geared to either make them as much money as possible or maximize your time on the site.
In other words, it wants to capture human attention. And what do those humans want? Well, a million things. Humor, comfort, connection, relationship, education, the list goes on. So how does someone as smart as MrBeast confuse the two?
Look at it. Isn't it beautiful? If you know anything about me, you know I love YouTube and I love YouTube statistics. 2,000 people want to watch my videos. I mean, just think of the views I'll give. I don't know why I had that kind of mindset at such a young age.
Since he was just a sick kid desperate for a new game to play, YouTube surrounded him with their scoreboard. Retention, views, growth, and why did they?
YouTube gives creators analytics because they want you to know what you can improve upon. But what YouTube thinks is an improvement is purely a numerical uptick.
An uptick that helps YouTube sell more ads and thus make billions more dollars. YouTube, by intentionally blurring the lines between audience and algorithm, helped convince MrBeast that helping YouTube win also meant giving the audience what it most enjoys. In other words, that
the best videos possible
were also the videos that best help YouTube sell ads.
I'm responsible for our advertising products.
How else do you think someone world famous for kindness and generosity ends up making stuff like this?
Every 10 seconds, we're putting a rat in the room.
Stop, actually. Oh my God.
What makes the best video possible?
The best videos possible.
Best video possible.
Best video possible.
That's Nick.
Best video possible.
When someone says, I don't want to optimize for retention, I say, well, you don't want to make a good video then.
MrBeastification, in the end, has little to do with MrBeast at all. Instead, it's about YouTube convincing its creators that success means playing by YouTube's point system of retention. YouTube waited patiently for a creator to come along that would play completely by their rules and believe they were doing it for the audience. And when they found him, they held him up as an example for all to imitate.
Here to see MrBeast talk about the YouTube algorithm. I want to just learn as much as possible from him.
Think about it. When creators give us videos that were actually meant to serve $1 billion company's desire to sell more ads, we lose, but YouTube just makes even more money. From YouTube's perspective, if it holds human attention and doesn't offend advertisers, who cares what the video's about? The question is, can we escape YouTube's lie? There's something missing from the story. You see, while a young man named Jimmy was MrBeastifying much of YouTube, something entirely different was happening in pockets all around YouTube. An ex-Disney prince and his husband were teaching 10 million people history from their kitchen. Gen Zers were making essays about gender, and
Jordan Peterson.
Creators were helping de-radicalize incels using their experience being trans. Some friends were reaching 10 times more people than SNL with skits about race, sports, anime, and anime playing sports. A goofy 20-year-old was reminding a polarized country that, despite what they were seeing on the news, the country was actually still full of a ton of loving people. This feels really different than MrBeastification, but weren't these creators looking at the exact same retention curve that MrBeast was? What are we missing? This is Michelle Khare.
Hello!
Since 2017, she's told stories about trying some of the world's hardest careers.
My goal with this video was to highlight the amazing first responders and the work that they do.
Somehow I have managed to convince the United States Secret Service to let me train with them.
And her fans love it. Enter MrBeast.
As we've seen people talk about retention, we swung the complete opposite direction. We're like, okay, retention, retention, retention.
Khare expected viewers to love the new hyper-paced video style, but when she started serving YouTube's retention graph,
our comments were all, we missed the old style of storytelling.
Viewers had noticed the retention obsession, and they went out of their way to tell her that they did not like it. Michelle realized that for her and her audience, success wasn't retaining a viewer for longer, it was telling an even more powerful story. Instead of trying to trap attention,
what we've tried to do is just challenge ourselves to be better storytellers.
You see, YouTube still shoved its graph in front of Michelle's face, but now it was almost like Michelle had made her own graph.
I brought the graph. This is
Ryan. He went through an evolution like Michelle Khare's. You see, he used to get views by mocking others.
Yo, Lauren, are you only famous because of Musical.ly?
Yes.
His goal?
Retention hacking, making an experience that's good enough to where they watch the whole thing so you make money.
Then he started to make some of the most creative and uplifting videos on YouTube. What changed? Well, he literally made his own graph, his own scoreboard for the game he wanted to play.
This is basically the framework we developed. It's redemptive work versus exploitative work. The what of exploitative work, which is, in my opinion, we win by force.
Hold him there.
Redemptive work, the whole goal of the video is different. It's for restoration in the consumer.
You see, while MrBeast imitators were all being guided by the same measure of success, retention, creators like Michelle and Ryan developed unique styles because each had their own way of measuring success. Did I transport people through history using food? Did I make people smarter? Did we share a hilariously insightful take on something we love? Did I bring
restoration in the consumer?
You see, MrBeastification wasn't a problem of copying MrBeast. It was a problem of copying MrBeast's measure of success.
Told him if he doesn't get 70% retention on a video, then he didn't do something right.
Of course, there are a lot of reasons why you might want to maximize retention. For MrBeast, he thinks it makes the best videos possible. For someone else, they may want a really big audience, or to pay the bills, or maybe they just don't have any other way to measure success. As a creator, I personally struggle to resist retention myself. I mean, YouTube puts the stats everywhere. But the more videos I make, the more I realize how important it is to resist these stats by creating my own specific measure of success. But we're missing a piece. You see, creators aren't making these videos for themselves. Over the past decade, viewers have started to move past the metric of just being retained as well. Suddenly, viewers started to support and communicate with creators directly on places like Patreon and Discord. And as they did, their love and critique started to guide creators rather than just retention. Just ask Cassie Ho how she built her $100 million fitness brand from YouTube videos.
Listening to the people in my community which truly is what has led me to where I am today.
And because humans are so diverse and just plain weird in what they like, the possibilities become limitless. And isn't that YouTube at its best?
If you let me, look at her. I'm a savage with a style so heavy. D, look at me, fresh as I can be. Casket clean, always draped up to the T. Oh, it's going down.
We started this video asking the question, how did a sick kid named Jimmy move from the sidelines of baseball to the center stage of YouTube? But I think it's led us to an even more important question, one hiding right in front of our faces. If YouTube is a game, what kind of game is it? And who gets to decide? Google's executives? Major advertisers, MrBeast and his imitators? Or is it us, we, the wildly diverse creators and viewers? It might seem like MrBeast is the king of YouTube, but the truth is we all built this together. And because it belongs to all of us, we should ask ourselves, how do we want to play?